The recommendation for this week is Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. This book is a must-read for anyone that believes in a dream. Outlier is a scientific term used to describe the phenomenon of those who fall outside of the everyday experience, the wildly successful and exceptional. Gladwell, a man who specializes in capturing the overlooked, describes in an interview. Outliers are the famous, the rich, those we exalt as examples of industry and brilliance. They are special and have earned our attention. We throw adoration at them because they seem to have accomplished things that we cannot. But what is it that has made them so? More honestly, why are we left out of the loop? Are we failures? We do try. In his book, Gladwell demystifies the stories of success that you never thought to consider, even though the evidence is ever present in our everyday lives, all around us. I find it ironically hilarious that Gladwell set off to explain that success is not a solitary function of one's effort. Yet most people come away only quoting his mention of the required 10,000 hours for the mastery of one's craft. Even in this masterwork, most of us choose to hold on to the least of Gladwell's concerns, proving that it is very difficult to break the habit in which we have been taught to think and observe. We go into the battle of our lives, our dreams, and we do not even see our ambitions correctly. Yes, hard work is necessary to succeed, and yes, you must practice to be among the best, but Gladwell stresses that there are more powerful forces contributing to your fate. Many of them are out of your control, but still can be beneficial. It is better to know them. The book Outliers is your great opportunity. Every self-made man made it with a whole lot of help. What I just said should offer you a bit of comfort. Such is a welcome deviation from the generic self-help books that place all of the pressures of success squarely on your shoulders. They tell you what to do to achieve your dreams. Work hard, be consistent, you are amazing, never give up. These millions of texts all end up being the same edicts trapped within the established motivation mantras. And then they dress up all the difficulties created by the outside world as your challenge, never mentioning that the successful always have culture, circumstances, or people that help lighten their burden. Brad Pitt could not have gotten where he is, as gorgeous as he is, on his own. I know very little about the man, but after reading Outliers, I can confidently make this statement. And if you doubt it, read the book. You read Outliers to investigate your possible fate through an examination of its roots. All right, I'm going to skip this part here. All right. You can read this if you want by clicking the link below. All right, it's going to jump right back in here. Gladwell says success arises out of the steady accumulation of advantages. When and where you are born, and what your parents did for a living, and what the circumstances of your upbringing were like, all make a significant difference on how well you will do in the world. Malcolm Gladwell picks apart the elements that make our society what it is. He stitches up pages of old history with leaves of recent journalism, packing story after story into what feels like a novella of intellectual exercise. You find yourself examining your life a lot more. Gladwell also says, success follows a predictable course. It is not the brightest who succeed, nor is success simply the sum of the decisions and efforts we make on our own behalf. It is rather a gift. The successful are those who have been given opportunities, and those who have had the strength and presence of mind to seize them. Your opportunity can be as simple as being born in the right time. I came away believing that everybody has something to capitalize on. The difficulty is knowing what that thing is. If only we could have Gladwell examine our personal lives for us. But in that you read Gladwell and ask a deeper question is enough. He teaches you to see the world differently. I mean, here I was thinking that I was outperformed in class by second-generation Asian students in mathematics because their parents are strict. I never bought into the genetics-based arguments that Asians are born with gifts, but perhaps they are. It turns out the advantage of the Chinese may not be embedded in their DNA, but rather their language. Mathematics is easier in Mandarin. You don't have to think conceptually about fractions. You innately understand that 3/5 is not just a symbol for something to be calculated. Instead of saying 3/5, they say out of 5 parts, take 3. Much simpler. And then Gladwell explains the sort of confidence the language builds in mathematics. One that encourages curiosity and a belief that an answer can be obtained when facing a difficult problem. What happens to the child that grows up knowing, hey, at least I'm good at math? She knows the patience it takes to solve problems, and this bleeds into the proper execution of every other craft she may fancy. Hence, she's more likely to be successful. Never thought about that. Did you? I hope that when you read Outliers, you relate rice farming to your passions in life. I hope you end up believing in maximization of your time and effort, believing in the fruits of your own work. Take the Chinese proverb, no food without blood and sweat. Apply it. And then remember that no one who can rise before dawn 365 days fails to make his family rich. To get the most out of Gladwell, I recommend that you read with the intent of questioning everything. He says juxtaposing with your life. To read the rest of what I think about Gladwell's life-changing book, click the link in the description below. For now, I leave you with an excerpt of the book read by Mr. Malcolm Gladwell himself. Because at the end of the day, outliers aren't outliers at all. We can all be successful.
What was the difference between the A's and the C's? Terman ran through every conceivable explanation. He looked at their physical and mental health, their masculinity, femininity scores, and their hobbies and vocational interests. He compared what ages they started walking and talking and what their precise IQ scores were in elementary and high school. In the end, only one thing mattered: family background. The A's overwhelmingly came from the middle and the upper class. Their homes were filled with books. Half of the fathers of the A group had a college degree or beyond, at a time when a university education was a rarity. The C's, on the other hand, were from the other side of the tracks. Almost a third of them had a parent who had dropped out of school before the 8th grade. At one point, Terman had his field workers go and visit everyone from the A and C group and rate their personalities and manner. What they found is everything you would expect to find if you were comparing children raised in an atmosphere of concerted cultivation with children raised in an atmosphere of natural growth. The A's were judged to be much more alert, poised, attractive, and well-dressed. In fact, the scores on those 4 dimensions were so different as to make you think you were looking at 2 different species of humans. You aren't, of course. You're simply seeing the difference between those schooled by their families to present their best face to the world and those denied that experience.
Thank you so much for watching. Our goal is to recommend you stuff that will encourage you to follow your passion and see society differently. Do you have any other recommendation? Leave us a comment below. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Fans of Kindness, our Facebook page, is also waiting for you. See you in the next video. Subscribe by clicking here and you won't miss the next one. Make sure you also check our blog, photography and art. Until then, be your best and spread kindness.